Lots of people want to know what they can expect at the Canadian border if they arrive with a prior conviction. They have lots of questions surrounding this topic, and I'm going to go through them with some quick answers. Question 1. How does an officer know I have a prior conviction? By taking your enhanced driver's license or your passport, they can simply hold it up to a little scanning machine, which will bring up the NCIC database or the FBI's database, which will show any arrest or conviction going back to your 18th birthday. 2. Will the people I'm traveling with know about my prior conviction if I haven't told them? Generally, the border officers are pretty quiet about these things. However, they will call you into the back and ask you some questions or ask you if you have an application to submit, which begs the question, why are they doing that? Generally speaking, border officers don't do that unless they have some strange, out of the ordinary reason for doing so, which could indicate that perhaps there's something on your record that's causing them to ask these questions. Number 3, how long of a delay will I experience? Well, generally, that really depends on the border traffic that day. If you're traveling on the weekend or you're traveling after hours when there's fewer officers available to help you, you may experience longer waiting times because there's simply less people processing applications and asking questions. Number 4, what happens if I don't have any documents with me? Generally speaking, people without documentation are turned around and returned to the country where they came from and asked to only return once they've either applied for special permission to travel or to bring the documents that they're being requested to the border with them on their next trip. Number 5, can I submit an application at the border? It depends on where you're from and what type of application you're submitting. So firstly, if you are a U.S. citizen, you're not required to apply for a visa ahead of time, which means that you can apply for most things at the Canadian border. One of those things you can apply for is a temporary resident permit, which is this temporary permit to overcome inadmissibility, and those absolutely can be obtained at the Canadian border. If you are trying to clear your record permanently with criminal rehabilitation, generally the border is not going to agree to process that application, and they're going to ask you to apply through a consulate. Number 6, is there a difference between driving and flying to the border? Yes and no. Technically, crossing the border is crossing the border, and all of the same laws and regulations apply to both. However, when you're crossing at a land border, it's a lot easier for an officer to turn you around in your car. If you fly into Canada, and you're denied entry, you'll have to return to the front end of the airport, purchase a new ticket, and an officer will have to wait with you until you board a plane to head back to the country that you came from. The other difference is that generally speaking, the airport borders are a little bit better staffed if you're going to a major international airport than some of the smaller land borders, so you may have to wait less time if you're going to be heading to an airport. I hope that's helpful in answering your questions about what to expect when you arrive at the Canadian border and have a prior conviction.